Just 2 weeks after voters returned Labor for its fourth term in New South Wales, the Yemma government sailed into yet another political storm today with the highly controversial appointment of its new head of education, Michael Coutts-Trotter. By all accounts, the 42-year-old senior bureaucrat and Labor insider is an outstanding talent. But he's also served 3 years in jail when he was convicted as a teenager for heroin trafficking. It's a risky appointment to such a sensitive portfolio, but depending who you talk to, it's either a story of personal redemption or another lapse of judgment by Premier Yemma. Deborah Cornwall reports.
Lots coming in terms of the new Director General of the Education Department.
Is that I could not be a teacher with such a conviction. You can't even be a lollipop lady with such a conviction to your name.
I have all confidence that if we give him a chance, he will make a difference. He's made his mistakes.
To a degree, we all make mistakes in life. Mine was far more significant than a mistake anyone here will ever make. But you can't carry it around like a ball and chain forever.
When Michael Coutts-Trotter stepped into the media scrum today, he was more than ready to tell his remarkable story of redemption. From teenaged heroin trafficker to chief of one of the largest bureaucracies in the land.
23 years ago, I was convicted of a very serious drug offence. I was a drug user and a drug seller, and luckily and remarkably in life, I've been given a second chance.
Well, everyone is entitled to make good on their past, and so is Mr Coutts-Trotter. But the question is whether you should put someone who has a conviction for drug trafficking as head of the Education Department. And I think that's most unwise. I mean, Alan Bond has done his time, but I don't think anyone would make Alan Bond head of a Treasury Department.
Is he really the model that we want for our young people? The values that we teach in public schools, do we want young people to think that it is okay to be a drug addict and to be a trader and to recover from that?
He did plummet the depths, and he has pulled himself up, he has rehabilitated himself, he has redeemed himself. I think he is a tremendous role model for young people.
There've certainly been mixed reviews over the 42-year-old bureaucrat's appointment as head of the New South Wales Education Department. A highly charged role, even without Coutts-Trotter's considerable personal baggage. But the freshly elected Yemma government was making no apologies.
Michael Coutts-Trotter has my absolute confidence, the government's absolute confidence, and he is a stellar example of someone who has learned from the mistakes he made as a young man. I think is exactly what we need to provide reinvigorated organisational leadership for public education.
It's not the first time the father of two has been forced to tell his tale. His first flirtation with drugs as a 13-year-old who'd just lost his father, his imprisonment at 19 for importing heroin, then the transformation from drug addict to Salvation Army poster boy and one of the state's most talented public servants.
I'd have to say objectively that he's a person that worked from a ministerial job as a press secretary and had a vertical trajectory through the public service in New South Wales through ability. He's a very intelligent, very capable and impressive man.
I have to say, on the very first day he worked for me, I realised that I had struck gold.
It was the former New South Wales Treasurer, Michael Egan, who gave Coutts-Trotter his first big break as a political advisor. He says his protégé has enormous talent and a long way to go yet.
And he is just an extremely valuable human being. And I think it would be a great pity for him to be barred from any job. And in fact, I think his life experience probably means that he has some assets that we don't have. I wouldn't bar him from anything.
23 years ago, I was convicted of...
But despite Coutts-Trotter's obvious ability, there's little question his impeccable relationships with the Labor Party, including his wife, Federal Labor MP Tanya Plibersek, have been critical to his success.
Excuse me, there he is.
Yet the Yemma government's determination to wear the fallout from the appointment comes at a time when the Premier's political judgment is already under heavy criticism from within the party. His botched decision to anoint Labor MP Paul Gibson as one of his new ministers was quickly scuttled this week after it was revealed Mr Gibson was under police investigation over 17-year-old allegations he'd had a violent relationship with his one-time partner Sandra Norrie, the former Minister for Tourism.
I think on this occasion the Yema government in New South Wales has crossed the line of acceptability. It's unacceptable to appoint someone with a drug conviction as head of the Education Department. It's unacceptable to appoint someone who has an allegation of domestic violence to the ministry, as was the case with Paul Gibson.
I think that this very risky appointment, at least externally by the government, is great testament both to the government and to society as a whole, that we allow people to redeem themselves, to rehabilitate themselves, to make mistakes and to fix them. And I think Cootes Trotter is a good example of that.
I think we've really created a divisive opinion in the community before this man has really taken on his role. And I think as the leading teacher in New South Wales, that is not a good way to come in.
Thank you very much.
Today's very public mea culpa was a clear signal from Cootes Trotter he's prepared to see off his critics, determined to prove all over again, if he has to, that he should be judged by his performance, not his past.
People who work with him swear by him, and all of his detractors today, particularly those who will be working with him, will soon find that he's a first-class human being and they'll regret ever having any doubts about him.
I'm luckier than most, so I'm one of a great crowd of people who have made mistakes in life, made bad choices, been selfish and stupid, but have bounced back from it.
Deborah Cornwall with that report. This year, more than